So, you want to go 12-0, huh? You want to go 12-0? So do I. We all do. Good news is, I've been 12-0 twice. Both times was in last year's game. And Battle Royale is a game mode that some people dive into. You know, you think you could win a few games, get some nice rewards, sell them for a bunch of stubs. Probably can. And the two times I went 12-0 set me up for success. I was able to sell the cards that I got for a whole bunch of stubs, buy all the players I wanted, exchange all of them, pick up all the good cards, yada, yada, yada. It's changed over the years. It's changed. The strategy in BR used to be draft as many common starters as you can because you only got to throw to one batter. And then you pick up silvers, maybe some gold, maybe some even diamond pitchers. Load up your team with good hitters and go play, right? Throw to the one batter with the common starter, bring in the guys out of the pen, and there you go. Now, that strategy has dramatically changed over the last 2 years with Major League Baseball implementing the 3-batter minimum rule that has since been adopted by MLB The Show. So that means whoever you draft as your starter or whoever you choose to start games for you, they got to face 3 batters. So I figure, why draft a bunch of really small rank, low rank, bad starting pitchers when you could get some decent ones and still put together a decent lineup and a decent bullpen? And when it's all said and done, it's got to be the right mixture. But at the end of the day, there's a way to do it. And there's a optimal strategy, and that's what we're going to be going over in this video. So let's get into it. All right, 1,500 stubs to enter. And as you can see, these rewards are pretty good. If you're able to get 3 wins, you get a silver player, 6 wins gold, 9 wins, 85 to 89 overall, 12 wins, you get a 90 plus. If you go 12-0, you bury a flawless in there, you're looking good. You're going to get a good player. So 1,500 stubs to enter. Hop into it and be wary of that 1,500 because sometimes, you know, you draft a team. Let's say you don't like it. You forfeit the entry. You draft again. You draft again. You draft again. You're like, where'd my stubs go? That's where they're going. So we're going to hop into this draft. And I'm going to run you through my strategy of who I would take in each one of these rounds. And right off the bat, we are faced with a dilemma. Okay. Generally, in a situation, I like to take guys if I'm in a spot where they're both ranked equally or maybe one's a little bit higher than the other. I like to consider defense and I like to consider speed when I'm drafting. So in this case, it's never going to be Frank Donata. Please, please do not draft a diamond starting pitcher. Mike Piazza's an okay option here. In fact, he hits the ball really well. It's a really good card looking at his attributes. Big Papi, obviously the guy's a monster, obviously, right? But then you got Mike Trout. Look at that entire wheel. Power right dominated, so good against lefties. Fielding is amazing. Speed is amazing. So not only is it nice to have Mike Trout as a hitter, but his defense is amazing. And you'll see when you get into BR how defense is actually relatively important, especially with your outfielders. So this is a round where, you know, you really couldn't go wrong. Tanana would probably be the only one that I would say, oh my God, please do not pick him. But the rest of these, I wouldn't lose my mind over anybody taking any of these 3 guys. But in this case, we're taking Trout. The next round is perfect because now we're getting into the bronzes. Now, as you can see on the top left, we have 2 picks out of 26 left. We have another diamond, 3 golds, 9 silvers, 10 bronze, and 2 common. This is a bronze round. Now, we're going to take Merrill Kelly, the starting pitcher. I'm almost certain of it because it gets one of our starting pitcher slots out of the way. And what I mean by that is every round you get where there's an open spot at starting pitcher, there's a possibility that one of those 4 cards is going to be a starter. So you want to get the starters out of the way as quickly as possible. But additionally, my strategy in regards to the 3-batter minimum and drafting starting pitchers is that I prefer to have 2 silver starting pitchers. That's super, super important. 2 silver starters. So we're going to take Merrill Kelly, and he's going to be our only bronze starting pitcher. In an ideal world, we have 2 silvers, 1 bronze, and then the last 2 common are starters. And you guys are going to say, oh, Mr. Phenomenal, you just said don't take common starters. Do take common starters. Those 2 common slots should go to starting pitchers, but you should also have 2 slots for silver starters and 1 slot for a bronze starter, because the 2 silver starters are going to refill their energy, because the way that the energy and the games work in Battle Royale, if you pitch to 3 batters, even a little bit more with your ace, let's say it's a silver, your ace, you play the game, you use your silver starter, play the next game, use your other silver starter. When you go into that 3rd game, there's a good chance your first silver starter is back to full energy, or as full as it gets in BR anyways. And if he's not, you'll go through this draft and you'll see that we're going to load up with the bullpen. And since you are going to be filling out your bullpen with some solid arms, just use a bullpen guy to start maybe that 3rd game. And then for sure by the 4th game, your number 1 starter that's a silver will be to full energy again. So there you go. This round, again, like I said, I like to consider all things. And another thing that's important for each individual person that's watching this video, you have to take into account how you personally perform with each card, right? So Bo Naylor, I've never used this card before. He's a prospect card. He's got bronze or silver hitting. It's not great. Longoria, Whit Merrifield. And again, versatility is key. Whit Merrifield can play, his primary position is second base, but he plays first, third, left, center, right. So it's like he's a monster and he plays everywhere. So we're going to go Whit Merrifield in this round. Next round is an interesting one. So you have a couple options in this. And like I said before, we only want 1 bronze starter. So I'm going to take Matt Bush, because once you get into these bronze rounds, you have to consider a few things. Josh Naylor's not a bad left-handed bat. Alejandro Kirk is a decent catcher, but Matt Bush, looking at his attributes, he throws really hard. He's got 86 velocity. He throws 95. So we're going to take Matt Bush in this round. In this next round, another interesting round, and you have to consider all things. Under no circumstances should you draft Walker Buehler. Under no circumstances. Ever, 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 ever should you draft Walker Buehler in a Battle Royale draft. That leaves us with 3 options: Tim Anderson, Jose Ramirez, and Stan Musial. I personally always perform pretty well with Jose Ramirez. I have in the last few games. And as you can see underneath his 87 rating, he's actually playing up to an 89 right now. So we're going to go with Jose Ramirez. Switch hitting infielder. He's got a ton of versatility, ton of ability to move around. And there you go. Up next, we have the option to draft a silver starting pitcher in Pablo Lopez. Absolutely done. Going to do that every single time. Next round is interesting because there's a few decent options in this one. Greg Maddux, gold starter. Please God, do not take him as a gold. We have Pete Alonso, who's got crazy dumb pop. Crazy dumb pop. Geraldo Perdomo and Trey Mancini. Now, Mancini's a really good card, actually. But again, Pete Alonso's got big time pop. It's really useful in BR, especially because a lot of the time you aren't going to be facing diamond pitchers. It's usually going to be, if it's maybe a gold, but usually silver or bronze. So that pop is important because you don't even have to really square balls up a lot of times with those guys, and they'll power the ball out of the yard. So we're going to go Pete Alonso in this draft. Next round is interesting because we could also go with a bronze bullpen guy. We also have the option for a bronze starting pitcher. We have Alex Jackson at catcher, and we have Geraldo. Why can't I say his name? Geraldo? I'm just going to say Geraldo. I think it's Geraldo. Yeah, Geraldo Perdomo. Okay, that's all it is. I was screwing myself in the head. Geraldo Perdomo. Geraldo Perdomo. Anyways, it's an interesting round here, and it's something that, again, you have to consider looking at your board and seeing how many picks in each round you have left. Now, Geraldo Perdomo's got 87 speed. And so his position of shortstop is something that we could easily fill with another player that's either gold or silver. So it's not a bad option to take this guy in this round because of the speed. So when you get into the later innings or you get into the third inning of a BR game and it's a tie game, 0-0, you can pinch run this guy for the guys at the bottom of your order who may not have as much speed, and he can score a run for you. So we're going to take Perdomo. And the next round is an interesting one. You have a guy like Aquino who's got a lot of pop. Braun, free agent at the moment, but I think there's no doubt in my mind Jordan Hicks is the piece. You have to consider a lot of different things when you're drafting people, and Jordan Hicks is a card that I personally am always going to draft if I get him in BR because he's got 99 velocity and 97 break. So the fact that he's a bronze is really interesting because I think it's more so because he's a little bit more on the wild side. His control's not great. Gives up a decent amount of hits sometimes. I don't know, but either way, he's on the team. Draft him every single time. The important thing is you got to consider when taking your bullpen guys is, are they easy to hit? Are they hard to hit? Do they throw hard? All those things. Do their pitches move a lot? Do they have sinkers, cutters, good sliders? Those types of pitches that have sharp late movement are going to be the pitches that are the hardest to hit for guys. So we get into this round, and again, it's an interesting round because we have a guy like David Dahl, a good left-handed bat. We have Michael Givens, who's a good right-handed arm, and we already have 2 righties in the bullpen, but that's okay. You have a lot of options to consider here, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to take Michael Givens because he's also very hard to hit, and he throws pretty hard. So we're going to take Givens in the bullpen. We have 3 bronze players in the bullpen. Perfect lineup here because we have a common starting pitcher to choose from. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this guy's name, but he's on the squad. Getting into this round, it's an interesting one because, of course, you want to take a gold hitter, right? You want a gold, and we may end up doing that, especially with Will Smith playing up to an 83. But it's never a bad idea to have a gold guy in the bullpen. Okay? I usually only put golds in the bullpen if it's towards the end of my draft and I have a gold slot left. My lineup looks okay. And I also have an open bullpen spot. So right now, we're not going to take Andrew Miller, but it's not a bad card to pick. In this situation, we're going to take Will Smith because he's playing up to an 83 and he's a gold catcher and it's hard to find. So next round, also an interesting one. We have a couple different options. And sometimes when you get into these bronze rounds, even some of the silver rounds, you can see that certain guys have specialties against certain types of pitchers. So, for example, Austin Slater has 79 contact against left, which is a lot higher than the rest of his attributes. So you think, oh, I can take Slater. I can have him in my lineup as a right fielder and then put him on the bench and pinch hit him against the lefty. If somebody brings in a lefty against one of your lefties, you bring him in and who knows how he's going to do? Maybe better than the lefty and lefty matchup. So it's a good pick right here, and we're going to take Austin Slater. Next round, also interesting. We're not going to take Gausman. We're not going to take Rainey because there's an open spot in the outfield, and Dominic Smith absolutely mashes. Absolutely mashes. Now, again, how can you say, oh, he absolutely mashes? He's a 78 overall. How? What do you mean? Why wouldn't he be a gold or a diamond? Some of these cards are just undervalued. They're underrated. And in this case, Dominic Smith is one of those cards. And if you look at our lineup, although we have Slater in there right now, is not going to be a righty, and then Perdomo's a switch, but we don't have any lefties. And that's one thing you do have to consider. Also, when drafting, is pay attention to the righty, lefty. Pay attention to the handedness of your batters because generally it's easier to hit off righties as a lefty, and it's easier to hit off left-handed pitchers as a right-handed batter. So I'm taking Dominic Smith in this round, and I'm really happy about that pick. This round also works out really well, and it does leave us with a bit of a dilemma because, and let me tell you why, because we have the ability to take Tommy La Stella, who's playing down to a 75. We could take Edwin Encarnacion with a ton of pop. We could take Edwin. Mike Zunino has a crazy amount of pop against lefties, or we can take our silver starting pitcher. It's a tough one because all 4 of these cards are good cards, and even more so Tommy La Stella. I've used Tommy La Stella in the last few MLB The Show games, and every time he's rated somewhere in the mid-70s, and every single time I destroy baseballs with him. Destroy baseballs. I've taken 10 ABs with him, and I have 3 jacks. 3 jacks. So it's a hard one here, and it hurts me not to take La Stella or Encarnacion for that matter, but we're going to take Ryan Yarbrough to get that silver starting pitcher out of the way and not have to worry about that the rest of the draft. Up next, an interesting round. We have Logan Forsythe. We have Chad Pinder. We have Jackie Bradley Jr. Now, again, one thing you have to consider when drafting players is the positions that they play. So you can look at a guy like Chad Pinder, who plays left field as a primary, but he also plays second, third, short, and all the outfield. You have Logan Forsythe, who plays first, third, and short. He plays everywhere in the infield and corner outfields. Then you have Jackie Bradley, who plays outfield. Looking at our outfield right now, it's not bad. We have Smith, Trout, and Slater. Slater wouldn't be the worst to keep in our lineup, and we're hoping to end up having to put him on the bench. As far as the infield goes, right now we have a really solid infield, except for this Geraldo Perdomo card, 68 overall shortstop, who's not good. So we have a couple options. We could take Forsythe, we could take Pinder. They're both right-handed bats. We don't really have a choice as far as, switch lefty righty. They're both righties. We're gonna take probably Chad Pinder, because he's been a good card for us and we like him. So, it is what it is. The only spot left on the bench that we're going to need, the only spot in the lineup we're going to need to possibly fill is that right field spot. But if at the end of the day, you're looking at your lineup and your lowest ranked card is a 74 bronze, who also happens to rake in Austin Slater, got to be happy with that every time. Up next is also an interesting one. We have Bryce Wilson is a starter, Bobby Bradley, first baseman, Mark Matthias, and Donnie Walton. I'm going to take Donnie Walton here because he's got the most speed, and we have a few bench spots left. So we're going to take Donnie Walton. Generally, with my bench picks, I take speed. That's usually what I do. And I want to make sure that there's a mix up of, a good mix of lefties and righties. I just don't want a bunch of terrible right-handed batters that just happen to have a lot of speed. So this round is interesting. We could take Darren O'Day, who's a good bullpen arm, good bullpen arm, doesn't throw very hard. Or we could take Hunter Renfroe, who's got a ton of pop, especially against lefties. I think we're going to take Darren O'Day here, because we need a little bit of help in the bullpen. Actually, you know what? Let's take Renfroe and let's put him in for Slater. So we're going to take Renfroe and put him in for Slater. And I like that a lot. Up next, we have a few options here. Harold Ramirez plays right field, and he's also got a ton of speed. Ty France and Tony Kemp. I think we're going to go Ramirez. Although Kemp is left-handed. No, we're going to take Ramirez. We're going to take Ramirez, put him on the bench. Up next, common starting pitcher. Absolutely perfect starting pitching rotation right here, boys. We have Lopez as the starter, Ryan Yarbrough as a starter, Merrill Kelly, the Salinas guy, and now James Caprillion as our common starter. So we did it perfectly. We have two silvers, 1 bronze, and 2 common. So you'd love to see that. Up next, and moving on from now, we have 4 silvers and 2 bronze rounds left. Now, for the rest of this draft, we're probably going to take bullpen guys until we run out of bench spots. We only have one bench spot left. We only have one position spot left to draft a hitter of some kind, and we don't really need anything. We really don't. We're going to be putting Chad Pinder at shortstop and Hunter Renfroe in the outfield. So our only option, I feel like, in this situation is Pedro Martinez, and it's a really good card. The guy throws hard, good slider, and it's a silver arm in the bullpen, and you love to see it. We get really good here, really good situation. We get Chasen Shreve. Now, it's important, and this is the last point that I really want to emphasize, that you get lefties on your team. You have to get left-handed pitchers on your team. In this situation, we get Chasen Shreve. We are absolutely going to take him. He's got 99 break. He's a great card to have, so we're going to take Chasen Shreve and get our first lefty. We get set up perfectly again with Jake Diekmann. Jake Diekmann, a lefty bullpen arm, silver, who has 98 velocity and 97 speed. I cannot emphasize this to you guys enough. Unless it's early on in the round and you might think you could get something better, if you come across Jake Diekmann, please, please, please draft him. He's a great card to have. He dominates against lefties, and he's just a money card. So great pick there. We have 2 bullpen slots left. We have 3 position players over here, and we have the opportunity for another lefty with 96 velo and 85 break, and that is Jake McGee. We're going to take Jake McGee all day long. Now we have 3 lefties in our bullpen, and towards the end of this draft, you can start to play, manipulate what kind of cards you're going to get in certain areas, right? So for example, we have 1 bullpen spot left and 1 bench spot left. So we go through and we see, okay, Dwight Smith Jr., decent against righties. He's a left-handed bat. Wouldn't be bad to have. Leody Taveras has got real good speed, and Jalen Davis is an outfielder. Jonathan Holder is a bullpen guy with 99 break, but we want a silver bullpen guy. And there's only one other round left. This is silver. So why not take one of these bronze hitters who's just going to be on our bench anyways and save the last bullpen round for a silver? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take Dwight Smith Jr. off the bench. And in our last round, we get an unbelievable round. Unbelievable round. Tanner Rainey throws really hard. Really hard. And he's got good break. Keone Kela also throws hard, also has good break. But we have our boy Chapman over here. Now, normally I don't have 4 lefties in my bullpen, but considering the righties we do have, Jordan Hicks, who throws 100 billion miles an hour, Michael Givens, 3/4, throws mid-90s, Pedro Martinez throws upper 90s. We have the 3 lefties, and Chasen Shreve is an okay lefty. He's a bronze, but we're going to take a Aroldis Chapman and finish off this team. And let me just tell you guys, this may be one of the best teams, at least pitching wise, that I have ever drafted. Ever. So again, the key points to draft, and this team, we're going to play out some games with it in a video series, but this is a BR drafting tip video, and I want to emphasize the following. 2 silver starting pitchers, at least 3 lefties in the bullpen, maybe 4, 2 common starting pitchers, and pay attention to the right-left matchups on your lineup. Make sure you're not overloaded with righties. Make sure you're not overloaded with lefties either, because you don't want guys to bring in one arm side or the other side and just shred you apart. So pay attention to the lineup. Pay attention to which side of the plate each guy bats from. And lastly, and most importantly, and this will come from me making this lineup, but please do not put this lineup together like it's your traditional baseball lineup in a 9-inning game, where you have speed guy with good contact at the top, solid contact hitter in the 2-hole, really good hitter 3-hole, power 4. You could, right? You definitely could. And if you have a bunch of guys that are real good hitters, there's no reason not to do that. But in this situation, when you have your diamond guys, you absolutely have to put them at the top of the order, because more than anything, just simple mathematics, they're going to come around and hit more. So you want your diamonds and your best hitters to hit more. So that's why you got to put these guys at the top of the order. We're going to put Whit Merrifield leading off because he's a pretty good traditional leadoff hitter. We're going to put Jose Ramirez 2. We're going to put Mike Trout 3. And we're actually going to put Dominic Smith 4. Okay. Will Smith's going to be 5. Pete Alonso's going to be 5. Excuse me. Will Smith. And then at the bottom of this order, we're going to change Gerardo Perdomo for Chad Pinder. And we're going to take out Hunter Renfroe off the bench and put him in for Austin Slater. We're going to flip Renfroe and Pinder. And this lineup right here, although we are righty heavy towards the bottom, is also absolutely loaded. Absolutely loaded. So overall, guys, really good draft we just went through right here. We got a really good team put together, and I'm honestly hopeful that we could do some damage with this team, and that'll be in another video series. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. You took these BR tips and you take them moving forward, because this is the strategy that I've been following. And I haven't had a BR run with less than like 6 or 7 wins in a long time. And I went flawless twice in a span of 2 weeks towards the end of last year's game using this exact strategy. I was drafting a bunch of common starters and not great starters. And I was like, why don't I draft better ones and use them? And instead of just pitching to 3 batters only, like I could use them for the 2nd inning, maybe the 3rd inning. So it's all about strategy in this situation. And it's up to you guys, really. You know, if one strategy works better for you, that's totally fine. But this is the strategy I recommend, and something where I know it's worked for a lot of other people too. So Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to smash the thumbs up, comment down below if you guys want to see more content like this. Please subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate it more than anything. We're trying to get to 1K. Let's get to 1K. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in another video. Peace.